Not my child. The three most dangerous words a parent can say. Not my child. My Justin was a loving, warm, bright, affectionate child, and he became that kind of man. I am so proud of that. He attended Mason Ridge Elementary School, Parkway Central High School, and graduated from Mizzou. He played baseball, volleyball, basketball, and football, and he was an A student. He had good friends and a family that loved and supported him. And he died of an accidental heroin overdose February 27th, 2015. The death of our Justin brought a pain like no other and made me question every parenting decision I ever made. We couldn't have loved each other anymore, yet love wasn't enough. We have a plaque in our house that says, if love alone could have saved you, you would have lived forever. But he didn't. My stepchildren, Justin's brother and sister, loved him and he idolized them. He wanted what they have: successful marriages, careers, and children. He had ambition, drive, and an incredible work ethic. In high school, he worked at Waterway Car Wash as the pumper. That means he sold the jobs at the pump station. He worked on commission, and he was good. He called me several times to tell me on a rainy day that he had just sold a $100 car wash. He lit up a room with his smile and had a way of making you feel important. The change didn't happen overnight. I didn't wake up one morning and look at him and know something was wrong. It was a very gradual change in his personality, his loss of ambition, his drive, mood swings, anger, and secrecy. My husband and I caught him smoking pot in high school, and we punished him. We took away his car, his freedom, money, etc. We had the tough conversation. Of course, he told us he would never do it again. He also told us pot was no big deal. We talked about it. I told him that it could lead to more serious things. He told me I was wrong. When he went away to college, we told him he had to prove to us that he was serious about school and that if he wanted to pledge a fraternity, he would have to show us the grades first semester. He did great, Dean's List. Junior year, he was living in an apartment with 3 roommates. He called me because he was so worried about one of his roommates because he was doing drugs. We talked about it at length, and he decided he would call this boy's mother because it was getting pretty scary. He did, and his friend was brought back home for care. So when did he start using heroin? Why did he start using heroin? I don't know. After graduation, Justin moved home and got a great job with a large company in their management training program. The company went through downsizing, and Justin lost his job. After that, he would spend all day in bed, get up and be awake all night. He said he was looking for a job, but there was no evidence of it. After quite a while of watching him go through this, I finally looked him in the eye and said, "Is it drugs?" Not expecting that to be the answer, but he said yes. The floor dropped away from me. This feeling was the meaning of surreal. I took him by the hand and walked him to his dad and said, "We have a problem." He went to a psychiatrist who treated him as an outpatient, and he did well. The outpatient treatment didn't work. Justin became a different person. He became belligerent and angry. He even began to look different. One day while I was out of town, my husband had to call the police because of his actions. I flew home. We asked the police to take him to the hospital, and they did. But by the time I got home, he was being discharged because they couldn't keep him against his will. He was an adult. Not only could I not force him to stay at the clinic, but the clinical and psychiatric professionals could not talk to me about it because of HIPAA. I still didn't know we were dealing with heroin. That same night I was talking to him and he became angry and violent. I had to call the police on my own son. When they came and calmed him down, they asked us what we wanted to do with him. We thought we had hit bottom. We could no longer stay with us. We could not support him so that he could live this life. Since he wouldn't go into treatment, we asked the police if they would take him to a hotel for the evening so we could think about what to do. I called my sister. She let me tell her what had happened, and she let me cry. The next morning, she and her husband went to the hotel and got Justin and took him to their home. They saved his life that day. They convinced him he needed to go to rehab, and I met them at a facility in St. Charles. And they spent the day with me, convincing him he needed to be admitted. He was there for 2 weeks and came out looking like his old self again, talking about getting his life back on track. Little did we know that 2 weeks was not enough. At the time, my husband and I were so convinced this 2-week program had worked that we went on a trip to Italy. We didn't think it would be a good idea for him to stay in the house by himself, so he went to stay with my mom. For the 2 weeks we were gone, and he relapsed. Again, surreal. I called the psychologist that he and I were seeing through all of this, and he recommended a longer-term rehab facility in Tucson, Arizona. Justin did not want to go. His dad and I had to look at him and say, it's either rehab or you need to leave the house. And since he had nowhere to go, he chose rehab. This is when his dad and I really learned about what was going on. We attended a family week at the facility where they educated us about the psychology and physiology of the brain and what drugs do to it and what addiction really is. It is not a choice. Once addicted, you have no choice but to chase that feeling or keep from getting drug sick. After his time in Arizona, he went to a sober living house in Austin, Texas. He continued to do great. He was happy and enthusiastic and talked of his future plans. From here, he went to a step-down sober living facility where he got a job and began having freedom, but was still drug tested every day. I was so proud of him. We all were. His friends told him he was doing the right thing. All of our family told him they supported him. He knew he was loved. At Christmas, we were all together at his brother's house in Dallas, and he announced it was time. He wanted to start living his life, and he wanted to move out of the sober living house and get an apartment. We agreed. We were relieved, ecstatic, and looking forward to the new phase in our lives. I was so proud of him. And at the end of February, he was dead. When you lose a child, nothing is ever the same again. Parents are not supposed to outlive their children. Every facet of your life has a memory of your child, every room in the house, every trip in the car, a song, a picture, a book. There is a hole in your heart that will never be filled. You search and search for the answers that just aren't there. Holidays, birthdays are never the same. I waited too long to really educate myself about drugs because somehow I thought we had the answer and we were going to get through this. He would be fixed, it would be over, and we would just have something to look back on. I truly kept thinking the 3 most dangerous words, not my child. You look back and wonder if there was a time that you missed doing the right thing. Should I have been tougher? Should I have been softer? I love my son more than life itself. I would have done anything to help him and to keep him alive. I didn't know what I should have known before he progressed to heroin. Please open your minds to the possibility that it could happen to your child. Not my child is not something you should ever think or say.
Saw you in heaven, would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't belong just can't stay.